My wife, the CEO, tossed me an unlimited black card, her only condition being that I not disturb her date with her first love. I'm nothing if not agreeable, so that night I went to a bar, hired 9 models, and partied until 1 in the morning. It wasn't until then that Chloe sent me a voice message, asking if I was home. I replied dismissively, "Yeah, about to sleep." The woman on the other end issued a command, "Answer the video call." I quickly typed back, "I'm not dressed." A second later, she sent a picture. "Really? The one who isn't dressed is that little model next to you, isn't she? Touch her chest again, and I'll chop your hand off." I scoffed and hung up. What right did a soon-to-be ex-wife have to tell me what to do? A month ago, Chloe's first love, her childhood friend Julian, returned and made a wager with me. If she chose him over me 9 times, I would lose. I agreed because I had to know if there was any room left for me in Chloe's heart, or if it was all still Julian. The result was me witnessing, time and again, how she would drop me without a second thought to run to her first love's side. Today was the 9th time. All it took was a single phone call from Julian, and Chloe was ready to leave me stranded on the freeway. "Ethan, something urgent came up. I have to go. Can you get out here and grab a cab home?" Without waiting for my reply, ignoring the pouring rain, ignoring the fact that my stomach was in knots, she tossed an umbrella out and left me on the shoulder of the road. As I watched her car disappear, a sharp pain lanced through my heart, and I began the long walk home alone in the downpour. My dress shoes rubbed my feet raw until they bled. 5 hours later, I finally reached our villa in Malibu. Clutching my cramping stomach, I collapsed onto the ground, gasping for breath as rain blurred my vision. Through the haze, I saw Julian approach, holding an umbrella, a smug smile on his face. "Hurts, doesn't it? Bet you regret making that wager with me now, huh? You really thought that after all these years, Chloe would have developed some feelings for you. But you forgot, she loves me most. Whatever you two had, it means nothing next to me." I staggered to my feet, my pale face a mask of dead, placid calm. "That was the 9th time. You won. As you wished, I'll divorce Chloe." I stumbled, slowly making my way toward the house. Once inside, I retrieved the divorce papers I'd prepared the day we made the bet, signed my name, and slid them across the table to Julian. "You can have her sign them." Julian raised an eyebrow, a flicker of surprise in his eyes. "Why me?" I said flatly, "I don't want to waste time explaining why. If it comes from you, she'll sign it without a second glance." Hearing this, a smug look crossed Julian's face as he took the papers. He offered some fake consolation. "Don't be too broken up about it. I'll introduce you to a gorgeous girl in a few days." I nodded. "Sure." Seeing me agree so quickly, a hint of shock flashed in Julian's eyes. "You're okay with that? Over Chloe already?" I let out a soft, bitter laugh. "I've only ever loved one person with my entire being, and this is how it ends. I gave her 9 chances, and she made sure I lost every single one. If I couldn't let go now, I'd be pathetic. From now on, I'm living for myself." Just as I finished speaking, the door opened. Chloe, having just returned, froze when she saw Julian. "Julian, didn't I just drop you at the hospital? What are you doing here?" Julian didn't bother explaining that his sprained ankle was a fake. He just smiled, picked up the papers, and walked over to Chloe. "Looking for you, actually. Need you to sign something." Chloe's eyes never left me. Without even glancing at the document, she signed her name right where he indicated. Only after the pen was down did she think to ask what it was. Julian was about to tell her the truth, but then an idea struck him. "It's a very meaningful gift that Ethan and I prepared. You'll find out what it is in a month. Trust me, you're going to love the surprise." For once, Chloe looked curious. But just as she was about to inspect it, Julian handed the papers back to me and got up to leave. The next day, at a college reunion dinner, people greeted me as I walked in. "Ethan, you came alone?" "No, +1. Is Chloe swamped with work?" Before I could answer, Julian, sitting in the center of the group, casually interjected. "She has a meeting this morning that runs until 11. Then she's got to negotiate a partnership this afternoon. No way she had time." Everyone started joking about how well he knew Chloe's schedule. "See, childhood sweethearts know each other best. He knows her schedule down to the minute." Julian swirled the wine in his glass. "Not really. Chloe mentioned it herself when she drove me home late last night." "Wow, you two are still so close. That childhood bond is really something. Good thing Ethan's so understanding. He knows the history between Chloe and Julian and doesn't mind a bit. Besides, if Julian wanted to be with Chloe, it would have happened ages ago. Everyone knows Chloe only listens to him, She's completely devoted. At this, Julian's smugness grew. Yeah, it's actually pretty funny. I told her to go after Ethan, so she did. I even had to push her to get married, to finally make it official with him. To anyone who didn't know better, you'd think I was forcing her into a relationship she didn't want. A shock went through me. I had always believed Chloe had been moved by my devotion, that she had willingly accepted my proposal. Was our entire marriage just another one of Julian's schemes? In that moment, it felt like a weight was crushing my chest, and I couldn't breathe. The conversation in the room continued, but I couldn't take it anymore and excused myself to the restroom. By the time I composed myself and returned, they had started a game. Julian had just lost a round and had to draw a truth card. Name the most devoted person who's ever pursued you, and give examples. As the card was read aloud, my eyes flickered away. Julian smiled, launching into a story. Well, this girl started chasing me when she was 7. It's been almost 20 years now. When she was a preteen, she gave me her family heirloom and told me she'd only ever love me. Every time I started dating someone new, she'd drink herself into oblivion for days. Oh, and for the past few years while I was studying abroad, she flew out to see me every single week. Listening to each detail, a storm churned inside me. While I had been giving my all to our relationship, she was still relentlessly pursuing her first love, and I had been completely oblivious. The pain in my chest was suffocating. The rest of the group was captivated, sighing and pressing for more details. Julian, who is she? Do we know her? She's so devoted, you must have been won over, right? If you two get together, you have to introduce us. Julian shot a sly, knowing glance in my direction and chuckled. All right, I'll bring her to meet you all next month. The words had barely left his mouth when Chloe pushed open the door to the private room, a smile on her face. Why wait until next month for an introduction? Julian, are you finished here? Weren't we supposed to go to that concert? The moment her eyes landed on me, she stopped short, a flicker of surprise and panic crossing her face. Ethan, what are you doing here? I recalled Chloe telling me that morning she'd be working late, until the early hours, and that I shouldn't wait up. So working late meant going to a concert with Julian? I gave a silent, humorless smile and met her eyes. As you can see, I'm at a college reunion. She nodded quickly, immediately changing the subject. Perfect. I'll head home with you then. I pulled out my phone to call a car, my voice steady. No need. I'll get a ride. You two go enjoy the concert. With that, I headed downstairs. I had just reached the curb when Julian followed me out. Upset. Here, I'll give you the concert tickets. You two only have a month left. Anyway, you should make some final memories, or you'll regret it when you're older. My expression was frigid. No thanks. After the divorce, I plan on forgetting the past. We don't have any memories worth keeping. Don't say that. Even though Chloe only got with you because I pushed her, you did take some of the burden off me. It's bad enough you never got her love. It would be cruel of me to deny you even a few memories. As we were about to part ways, neither of us saw the car speeding toward us. It wasn't until the driver laid on the horn that we turned, but it was too late to get out of the way. In that critical second, Chloe lunged forward, shoving Julian to safety. I, on the other hand, was struck by the car and thrown 20 feet, landing hard on the pavement. With a sickening thud, blood trickled from the corner of my mouth. Every bone in my body screamed in agony, and I started convulsing from the pain. It hurt so much. My consciousness began to fade. But before I lost consciousness, I saw Chloe, her attention entirely on a terrified Julian. I don't know how much time had passed before waves of pain jolted me awake. When I opened my eyes, I was in a hospital, and the first thing I saw was Chloe's worried face. Ethan, how are you feeling? You've been unconscious for 2 days. Do you have any idea how worried I've been? I looked at her frantic expression and remembered what I saw before I passed out. It was laughable. In a life or death moment, I wasn't the one she chose to save. I was lying in a pool of my own blood, and she hadn't even noticed I was hurt. She had never truly cared about me, so why would she be worried now? I took a shallow breath, my voice hoarse. I'm fine. Go take care of Julian. Chloe froze, assuming I was upset that she hadn't saved me. She rushed to explain. Julian's fine. You're the one who's seriously hurt. Of course, I'm staying here to take care of you. I just shook my head, said I was tired, and closed my eyes, pretending to rest. Chloe didn't press the issue. She tucked me in, got me some fresh water, and ordered a light lunch for me. Then she took a call, said something urgent came up at the office, and left, promising to come back the next day. When the nurse came on her rounds, She saw all the arrangements Chloe had made and commented on how lucky I was to have such a caring wife. I said nothing. As I was about to eat the soup, my phone buzzed. I opened the message. It was from Julian. Sorry about this, but that car crash really gave me a scare. I texted Chloe, and she's having dinner with me now. She's taking me for a drive later, and then we're catching a movie. You rest up at the hospital. The message included a picture from a well-known health food restaurant downtown, the table laden with light, nutritious dishes. You could only see Chloe's hands in the shot. I stared at the photo for a long moment before replying with just 3 words, "Have a good time." For the next week, Chloe visited the hospital daily, but she never stayed for more than 10 minutes. And like clockwork, Julian would send me updates on their activities. The difference between being loved and not was stark. I was once again grateful I had made that wager. After my final checkup, the doctor handed me my discharge papers. "You're all clear. Just have your wife fill out the discharge paperwork and pick up your prescriptions." I took the papers, my voice devoid of emotion. "She's not my wife. We're divorced." A second later, the door swung open, and Chloe walked in, a look of utter shock on her face. "Divorced? What are you talking about? Divorced?" I hadn't expected her to show up. I faltered for a second. "Nothing. I just meant you've left for the day." Seeing my nonchalant expression, Chloe seemed to relax. "I've been swamped with a new project, working overtime constantly, so I haven't been able to be here." I watched her lie so effortlessly and my eyes narrowed. "If you're that busy, don't worry about coming. I can take care of myself." I meant every word, but Chloe thought I was just being angry. "It's my fault. The project is almost wrapped up. I'll make it up to you and spend more time with you." She then started making arrangements to take me home. She even had her assistant deliver a huge collection of limited edition action figures for me to choose from. Looking at the expensive, detailed figures, I calmly refused. "I've never liked these. The person who likes these is someone else." When I told her I didn't like them, Chloe immediately had her assistant arrange for different gifts. "Then I'll get you something else. What do you want? Watches? A luxury car? I'll buy you anything. Just pick something." I felt nothing as she listed off these expensive items. For 3 years, every anniversary and holiday, she'd send a mountain of gifts. They were all from the same few luxury brands, piling up in the closet until it looked like a high-end department store stockroom. I used to think this was her way of showing she cared, so even if I wasn't interested, I'd accept them with a smile. But now, hearing that she didn't even know what I actually liked, I understood. She was just too lazy to put in any real thought, so she threw money at the problem instead. After all, with a high enough price tag, you can't really go wrong. So this time, I was direct. "I don't need any of it, and you don't have to send me things like this anymore. Don't trouble yourself." It was the first time Chloe had ever heard me talk like that, and a flicker of panic crossed her face. "You're my husband. It's perfectly normal for me to get you gifts. How is that a bother?" How laughable, Chloe. You still had no idea that you'd already signed our divorce papers. For the next few days, Chloe actually stayed home. I began to slowly pack my belongings. Clothes I no longer needed, the matching his and hers mugs, even taking down the curtains we'd picked out. Chloe was surprised to see me clearing out so many things. She was about to ask me about it, but then Julian called. Instantly, she forgot all about me, answered the phone, and walked away. I saw his name on the screen. I knew she was going to be with him. After she left, I threw everything I had gathered into the trash. By the early morning, Chloe still wasn't back. She just sent a text. She said she was going on a business trip for a week. A moment later, a picture from Julian arrived, showing him and Chloe having dinner together. Chloe said she wants to go abroad with me for a few days. I just replied, "Okay." I used the time to pack the rest of my things and plan a detailed trip for myself. Once the plan was set, the first thing I did was book a flight back to my hometown. The airline called to confirm my flight details, and I repeated them back carefully. "The flight I booked is for 1 week from today. Where are you going?" Hearing Chloe's voice, I turned to see she had come back at some point. I avoided her questioning gaze, ended the call, and answered truthfully, "Back to my hometown to see my parents." Chloe nodded without asking more, then produced an exquisitely wrapped gift. "Ethan, you said you didn't like those action figures, right? I picked out a watch for you this time. See if you like it." I made a show of opening it, glanced at it, and set it down. "I love it." My flat response seemed to surprise her. She stepped closer, gently taking my arm, her voice laced with concern. "What's been going on with you lately? I was away for so long, and you didn't send me a single message. Are you feeling down?" When I didn't respond, Chloe assumed I was truly upset and rose on her toes to kiss me. But, for the first time, I pushed her away and retreated into the bathroom. I'm not feeling well today. Not in the mood. Some other time. Staring at my retreating back, Chloe seemed dazed. His stomach had been bothering him for so long. Wasn't it better yet? The following evening, Chloe said she had a surprise for me and led me out the door. When we arrived at the restaurant, a waiter escorted us directly to a private suite on the top floor. As the door opened to reveal a room filled with flowers and candles, my eyes narrowed. Chloe beamed. "Ethan, do you like it?" I paused for a moment before sitting down in silence. Chloe took the menu and ordered a table full of my favorite dishes. When the food arrived, she even peeled the shrimp and cracked the crab for me, placing the meat on my plate. All evening, she desperately tried to keep the conversation going, even reminiscing about when we first started dating. "Remember when we first got together? You'd sit in on my classes every day, and my professor would always call on you. He even pulled me aside once to ask what was going on between us." I was completely unnerved by this sudden display of affection. "What's gotten into you today? I just noticed you've been down lately, and I wanted to cheer you up." Just then, the door to our suite burst open. Julian strode in with a crowd of people, one of whom was snapping a series of Polaroid pictures of us. "Ethan, are you satisfied with your date tonight?" This was a surprise I meticulously planned. Pretty touching, right? Hearing the triumph in Julian's voice, I turned to Chloe and asked my question again, my voice trembling this time. "Did you arrange this?" Chloe, oblivious to the tremor in my voice, shook her head and smiled towards Julian. "No, it was Julian's idea." "What's wrong?" Julian beamed, looking incredibly pleased with himself. "That's right. I heard Chloe bailed on your anniversary dinner, so I suggested this to her. The restaurant, the flowers, the candles, the menu, the fireworks, all my recommendations. Guaranteed to be an unforgettable night." "Oh, and did you get the watch? I spent ages picking that one out. Do you like it?" So this was all Julian's doing too. No wonder Chloe had been so attentive. My mind flashed back to all the things Julian had done in college to push us together. Listening to the crowd praise Julian for his brilliant plan, a profound sense of helplessness washed over me. Julian had orchestrated all of this for one reason, to prove to me that no matter how much time passed, I had no control. The beginning, the middle, and the end of my relationship with Chloe were all in his hands. I was just a passive participant, and Chloe was a willing pawn. Seeing Julian holding court, surrounded by his admirers, I couldn't take it another second. I stood up and headed for the exit. I was halfway down the stairs when Julian caught up to me. "What's the matter? Not happy? Ending your relationship with such a romantic candlelight dinner. It's bound to be a memorable moment in your life, right? Here, take these photos as a souvenir." I glanced down at the photos he held out. In them, Chloe stood with a heart-shaped firework exploding behind her, but her eyes weren't on the camera. They were looking in the direction where Julian had been standing. I didn't take them. I just looked at him, my voice heavy with exhaustion. "I've already signed the divorce papers. I'm letting you have her. What's the point of all this?" "No point. I thought you'd be touched." "Well, if you don't like it, we won't do it again. Not that there'll be another chance, anyway." Julian laughed and turned to leave, but just as he did, the large light fixture directly overhead came loose. I instinctively threw my arms up to cover my head, but then I saw Chloe rushing forward as the fixture crashed down, knocking me to the ground. A pained groan escaped my lips. I trembled, trying to call for help, but all I could see was Julian, crying, as he helped Chloe to her feet. She was covered in blood, too. "Chloe, why were you so stupid?" My head grew heavy, my vision blurred, and I finally gave in and lost consciousness completely. When I woke up, Julian was there. He placed a birthday invitation on the bedside table. 6 days from now is the end of your and Chloe's mandatory cooling-off period for the divorce. It's also her birthday. I plan on officially asking her to be with me then. She's so in love with me. She'll be thrilled with a surprise like that. Chloe hit her head, has a mild concussion. I'll take care of her for the next few days. If you want to spend these last few days with her, I can have you move to the room next door. I closed my eyes, my voice flat. "No thanks. The person she wants to see right now is you, and I have no desire to see her." Julian nodded with understanding, then closed the door and left. During my last few days in the hospital, Chloe called and sent a few messages. I ignored them all. The day I was discharged, I went and picked up the final divorce decree. Back home, I placed the divorce decree and the original, signed agreement into a gift box and tied it with a ribbon. I was just about to leave with my suitcase when I ran right into Chloe returning home. She looked at my suitcase, surprised. "Ethan, it's my birthday. I was about to take you to my party." "Where are you going?" I lied without missing a beat. "I have to catch a flight, back to my hometown. The tickets for today." I turned, picked up the gift box from the table, and handed it to her. "I got you a birthday present. Happy birthday." "I have to run. I'm in a hurry." Without waiting to see her reaction, I walked out the door, hailed a cab, and went straight to the airport. Watching my hurried retreat, Chloe felt her eye twitch, a strange sense of panic rising in her chest. Her first instinct was to call me back, to ask me to change my flight, to at least stay for her birthday party. But just as she took a step, her phone rang. It was Julian. "Chloe, the party's about to start. Where are you? I've been planning this for ages, and I have a huge gift for you." After a moment of hesitation, she got in her car and left. The gift box I'd given her was tossed carelessly onto the passenger seat, unopened. She pushed open the doors to the hotel ballroom to find it packed and buzzing with energy, people mingling and drinking. The moment Julian saw her, he hurried over. "Chloe, you made it." Chloe nodded, her expression softening. "You said you had a surprise for me?" Julian grinned. "Oh, Chloe, you're going to love this surprise." With that, he strode to the stage, took the microphone, and his voice boomed across the hall. "Welcome, everyone, and thank you for coming to celebrate Chloe's birthday. Today is a special day, and not just because it's her birthday. I have two pieces of good news to share. First, congratulations to Chloe on her divorce. She's leaving the past behind and embracing a new future. And the second piece of good news is that, right here, tonight, I am going to officially ask Chloe to be with me. Chloe, you've loved me for so many years, and I've selfishly taken that love for granted. But today, I've finally seen clearly. I want to be with you forever." The warm, bright spotlight hit Julian, making him look almost angelic on stage. He stared into Chloe's eyes, his own filled with deep emotion, and said softly, "For so long, you've been the sun in my life, quietly there, silently watching over me. Every moment we've spent together is like a star in the sky of my memory. I used to take that warmth for granted, but now I realize it was a safe harbor you built for me with your love." Chloe's mind, however, went completely blank. Before she could process anything, Julian was in front of her, microphone in hand, gently taking her hand. "I've seen countless beautiful sights," he continued, "but the most beautiful view I've ever found is in your eyes. I've heard countless words, but I've felt the greatest warmth in your care. From this day forward, I don't want you following behind me anymore. I want you by my side, walking through every season, seeing every sight together. Will you be a part of every moment of my future? Ethan has divorced you. For all these years, you've chased after me, been there for me no matter what. I know you truly love me. And now I don't want you to chase me anymore, because I've decided I want to be with you. So, Chloe, do you like your surprise? This is my birthday gift to you. Be with me." Chloe stood frozen, completely unresponsive. Julian, seeing her stunned silence, assumed she was overcome with happiness. He gently called her name, prompting her for a reaction. Chloe's mind was reeling with questions, but in front of the entire ballroom, she couldn't voice them. She could only play along, forcing a look of surprise as she said to Julian, "Thank you for all of this. I'm so touched." Though it wasn't a direct yes, everyone there knew how much Chloe had done for Julian over the years. They all assumed they were already a couple, just waiting for the divorce to be final before going public. Now that the divorce was done, he was announcing it to the world at this huge party. "I knew you'd love it." Julian was satisfied with her response. He smiled, put his arm around her waist, and began to navigate her through the crowd. He wore a broad, happy smile, as if they were the perfect couple. The crowd erupted in congratulations. "Congratulations, Chloe. All those years of waiting finally paid off. Congratulations, Julian, on winning her over. Congratulations, Chloe. A true love story finally comes true." They spoke of infidelity and home wrecking as if it were a fairy tale. No wonder I wasn't there. A few people muttered about how unfair it was to me, but their voices were lost in the sea of congratulations. By the time the party wound down, it was late. Julian, ecstatic and a little drunk, kept his arm wrapped tightly around Chloe's waist. Looking at Julian beside her, Chloe pushed her swirling questions aside. She had no time to think, she just had to get him home. It was late by the time she got Julian settled and asleep. She finally returned to our house. Arriving at the dark, Empty house. Chloe finally remembered that I was gone, that I had gone back to my hometown. Chloe didn't really believe I could leave her. She knew just how much I loved her. Just as she had spent years chasing Julian, I had spent years chasing her. She remembered the birthday gift I'd given her that morning and concluded I was just angry, waiting for her to come and smooth things over. She knew she had neglected me for Julian, and she decided she would make it up to me properly when I returned. With that thought, she called my phone, not caring what time it was or if she might be waking me. She let it ring and ring, but there was no answer. Undeterred, Chloe sent me a message on iMessage. Seeing the red exclamation point and the message failed to deliver notification, Chloe felt a surge of annoyance. Had he just disappeared because he didn't know how to face her? Was he actually expecting her to go looking for him? In the soft light of the living room, Chloe finally went to her car and brought the gift box inside. Her fingers paused on the velvet box. I had never wrapped a gift for her before. I always just handed them to her. This was the first time. The thought made her curious. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. Julian's name lit up the screen, a sharp pinprick in the room's warm, quiet glow. Chloe? Where'd you go? His voice on the other end was slurred. He was clearly still drunk. He hadn't sobered up. I'm home. What's wrong? Hearing his voice, Chloe stopped her hands, her own voice softening unconsciously. I don't feel good. Why aren't you here with me? Listening to his whining, Chloe dropped the box, grabbed her coat and keys, and headed for the door, phone still pressed to her ear. I'll be right there. You just hang on. By the time she reached Julian's apartment, the sky was beginning to lighten. Chloe, I meant what I said. I wasn't just caught up in the moment. I'm your boyfriend now. Chloe, is there anything you'd like to do to your new boyfriend? Julian took her hand and placed it on his stomach, his voice full of seduction. That's not it. I want to know when Ethan and I got divorced. And why can't I get in touch with him? Chloe, I thought you'd be consumed with the joy of us finally being together. You have me now. Why are you still worried about someone who doesn't matter? There was an edge to Julian's voice. Hearing him say that, a strange feeling pricked at Chloe's heart. How should I know? He sent me a message saying you two were divorced. He even showed me the decree. I just assumed you were so eager to be with me that you initiated it. He didn't even show up for your birthday, and you're still thinking about him? The divorce decree? I divorced him? Chloe was stunned. To be informed of her own divorce like this, and to have the blame pinned on her. It wasn't as if she felt nothing for me. After all, for years, whenever she was hurt by Julian, I was the one who was there for her. She had only spent a little extra time with Julian because he was new back in the country and didn't know anyone. And for that, I was divorcing her? Seeing the look on Chloe's face, Julian immediately threw me under the bus. He threatened me. He said if I didn't help him, he'd spread vicious rumors about me to all our old college friends, that he'd ruin my reputation. He really said that? Chloe couldn't believe it, that I, who had always been so gentle with her, so measured and polite with everyone, could do something like that. You don't believe me, do you? It's not that I don't believe you. I just never thought he would do something like that to you. Weren't you two roommates in college? Good friends. He was never my friend. He was always jealous of me. If he hadn't told me he had a crush on you, and set me up with Jessica, I never would have introduced you to him. He introduced you to Jessica? Julian had successfully changed the subject. His ploy successful, Julian spared no effort in destroying any good impression Chloe might have had of me. He couldn't stand the thought that after all our years together, Chloe might still have some lingering feelings for me. He was the one who introduced me to Jessica. Then he forced me to introduce you to him to push you two together. He threatened to convince Jessica to break up with me if I didn't. He tricked me so badly back then, I didn't even know my own heart. The sun beat down on the colorful landscape of Sedona, Arizona. Though the pain of the divorce still lingered in my eyes, it was overshadowed by something else. Hope for a new life. Fresh from a failed marriage, I had come to this place of mystery and tranquility to heal. Sedona welcomed me with its warm sun and vibrant, otherworldly landscapes. I wandered the town, a gentle breeze rustling my hair, the desert wildflowers swaying in the wind. Sunlight streamed through the leaves of the cottonwood trees, dappling the ground with light. Felt like stepping into a painting. I explored the Tlaquepaque Arts and Shopping Village, its unique galleries and courtyards a feast for the eyes. I marveled at the diverse desert flora, a testament to nature's resilience. The blend of Native American, Mexican, and Southwestern art felt like a journey through the region's rich history. I had spent so many years revolving around Chloe that I'd forgotten what it was like to travel, to just relax and be myself. This divorce was my chance to finally see more of the country's beautiful landscapes. My first stop was here, in the heart of Arizona's Red Rock country. When I was with Chloe, I'd mentioned wanting to travel so many times. I told her I wanted to come to a place like Sedona, to hike the trails and feel the vastness of it all. But she was always too busy, always had no time. She never once said yes. It wasn't until that reunion that I learned her being busy was just an excuse to free up her schedule to fly overseas and be with Julian. I hiked out to Cathedral Rock, and the moment I stepped onto the trail, I felt like I'd entered a kingdom of stone. The massive red rock formations rose around me, some like towering sentinels, others like graceful dancers frozen in time. I walked among them, running my hand over the weathered sandstone, imagining the millennia of stories they held. The local legends spoke of great love and sacrifice, and I found myself moved, imagining the timeless human dramas that had played out against this epic backdrop. I spent days exploring the different trails and vortex sites. I walked the dusty paths, the crunch of gravel under my boots the only sound, as if the land itself was whispering ancient stories. The local shops were filled with turquoise jewelry and beautiful crafts. I wandered aimlessly, letting my mind get lost in this beautiful, peaceful world. I found a spot overlooking a serene creek, the distant red cliffs meeting the clear blue sky in a breathtaking vista. The landscape felt like a giant, perfect mirror reflecting the sky. The water in the creek was crystal clear, sparkling in the sun. I rented a mountain bike and rode the trails, the dry, clean air on my face feeling incredibly freeing. The distant mesas rose majestically, their peaks shrouded in a light haze, looking like something out of a dream. Near a hidden spring, wildflowers bloomed in a riot of color, and butterflies danced in the air. I closed my eyes, soaking in the peace and beauty, feeling like I was part of the landscape itself. I took a deep breath, hoping the clean air could clear the lingering shadows from my heart. I couldn't believe I'd given up so many years of my freedom for someone so unworthy, waiting in a house for a person whose heart was always somewhere else. Looking back on it all, I sat on a rock overlooking the canyon, staring into the distance. A hawk circled on the thermals, effortlessly riding the currents, and I felt that my own turbulent heart would eventually find that same peace. Before I knew it, the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant strokes of orange and purple. I walked along a ridge, the red dust under my feet glowing in the last light of day. My shadow stretched long before me, and it felt like the start of a new chapter, one written just for me. Chloe and Julian already felt like a distant memory, hazy and indistinct, as if veiled in mist. My journey ended in a small, artsy town nearby, its main street bustling with galleries and shops selling local crafts. I strolled down the charming main street, admiring the beautiful artwork and soaking in the unique, creative atmosphere. A street musician played a lively tune, and a few locals were dancing, their faces filled with simple joy. I felt myself infected by their happiness, tapping my foot to the rhythm. At night, the town was aglow with warm lights, which reflected beautifully in the small creek that ran through it. I found a small bar with a patio by the creek, listening to a live singer and sipping a local craft beer. A sense of contentment and peace filled me. I realized I hadn't thought about Chloe or Julian in days. It was a good feeling. A little buzzed from the beer, I decided to take a walk to clear my head. As I passed a small courtyard, a light rain began to fall. I leaned against a weathered wooden gate, the alcohol making the streetlights on the wet pavement blur into soft halos of light. I reached out to catch a drop of water from the eaves, and the cool touch on my skin was a sharp contrast to the warmth of the alcohol in my system. Around the corner, an orange porch light flickered on, illuminating a gate entwined with climbing roses. The gate was slightly ajar. A small, hand-carved sign that read, "The Listening Post," glistened in the rain. I stumbled inside. From behind a large bush, I heard the delicate clink of ceramic. "Ethan, do you need a towel?" The gentle female voice made me jump back a step. A beautiful hand extended toward me, holding a towel. Under a covered porch, a woman in a simple, elegant dress sat in a wicker chair. Her pale fingers rested on a ceramic mug. The mist and rain softened her features, giving her an almost painted quality, like a delicate piece of porcelain, beautiful but fragile. "How do you know my name?" I clutched my damp jacket. The woman, Maya, coughed as she sat up straighter. The sleeve of her dress slid down, revealing a wrist so slender I could see the faint blue of her veins. "Freshman orientation week. You played drums at the welcome concert. You were amazing." Her fingers nervously twisted the fabric of her dress. "You just had this energy. It was hard to forget." She blushed as she said it. In a flash of lightning, I saw that her face was bright red. Maya was happy. I didn't remember her at all, yet she had remembered me all these years. It was only when I started dating, and then got married, that she finally stopped keeping track of me. When I got back to my hotel, Maya was already on the phone with her assistant, telling him to find out immediately why I was in Sedona by myself. Back in her own place, Maya couldn't sleep. She hadn't been nearly as calm as she appeared in front of me. In fact, she'd had to concentrate just to keep her heart from pounding out of her chest. Her phone chimed with a message from her assistant. Reading it, a smile spread across her face. He had learned that just a few days ago, at Chloe's birthday party, her first love had publicly announced our divorce and then professed his love for her. The full details would have to wait until morning. I was divorced. Her chance had finally come. It was the best news she'd had in a long time. I hadn't dreamed in ages, but that night I did. I dreamed I was back in college before I'd met Chloe. I was in the cafeteria, my meal card was missing, and my phone was dead. Just as I was standing there awkwardly, a beautiful hand reached past me and swiped a card. The fingers were long and slender, exactly my type. I've always had a thing for hands, and I was momentarily mesmerized. By the time I snapped out of it and turned to thank the person, all I saw was her back as she walked away. When I woke up, I remembered Maya's hand from the night before, how beautiful it was. I was startled to find myself thinking about a woman I'd just met. I felt my face flush and tried to shake the thought away. I splashed some water on my face, then stepped outside. The sky was a brilliant, cloudless blue, and the air was filled with the scent of desert flowers. It was a perfect day. Walking through the quiet morning streets, I felt a deep sense of peace. Fancy seeing you here. Seeing Maya walking toward me with a greeting, I blushed. I had just been thinking about her. Speak of the devil. What a coincidence. You're out and about too. The moment the words left my mouth, I realized how stupid they sounded. It was too late to take them back, so I just offered an awkward smile. Maya felt a pang of disappointment as I left after only a brief exchange. By the 10th time I ran into Maya that day, I had to laugh. 3, 2, 1. Fancy seeing you here. Just as my silent countdown finished, Maya's cheerful greeting arrived right on cue. It's not a coincidence. This is the 10th time we've run into each other today. Maya froze, looking mortified. Want to just walk together? Seeing her adorable, flustered expression, I found it endearing. I invited her to join me, hoping to ease her embarrassment. Okay, mission accomplished. Maya mentally gave herself a high five. The all-night research session on how to accidentally run into someone had paid off. So what if her little scheme was transparent? A little embarrassment was a small price to pay. Whatever works, works. With Maya's company, the day became truly enjoyable. She even took pictures for me, making up for the fact that I hadn't taken any on my trip so far. And Maya, who happily acted as my personal photographer for the day, seemed perfectly content. She had spent the entire day with the man she'd had a crush on for years. Back in New York, after days of non-stop work, Chloe finally cleared her schedule, setting aside a whole month to travel with Julian. Julian was thrilled when he heard the news. He invited her over for dinner at his apartment. When Chloe went back to our house to pack, she finally saw the gift I'd left for her, still sitting in the living room. She finally opened it. Her face clouded over as she saw what was inside. The divorce agreement and the final decree. What a wonderful birthday present. She tossed them aside and went to the bedroom to pack. Only then did she notice that everything of mine was gone. My half of the closet was empty. The photo on my nightstand was gone. Even my toothbrush was gone. How could I? Just because she spent a little more time with Julian, I just up and left? Was my all-consuming love for her just an act? Or was Julian right? Was I a hypocrite? Was my love that shallow? For some reason, as the reality that I was gone for good sank in, Chloe's anger was replaced by a strange, suffocating feeling in her chest. She had always loved Julian. I was just the backup plan. Chloe repeated this to herself like a mantra, trying to crush the unfamiliar feeling. Depressed, Chloe drank heavily at dinner. Later that night, with a little coaxing from Julian, she fell into bed with him. Looking at Julian sleeping beside her, she had finally gotten her first love, but her heart felt strangely empty. My face kept flashing in her mind. Even as she lay with Julian, she found herself thinking about me, and the woman I might be with. Julian, for his part, was also thinking about the woman he'd seen me with. She had an air about her, an elegance that, he had to admit, even surpassed Chloe's. Why did I, the loser, get to have someone even better than the woman he had? With both of their minds elsewhere, neither noticed the other's distraction. Meanwhile, back in Sedona, the air between Maya and me was filled with a happy, romantic bubble. It was only when I got back to my room that I realized I'd never told Maya I was divorced. How did she know? I decided it was better to just ask her directly instead of speculating. I called her. "Ethan, is everything okay?" She sounded happy to hear from me. "I never told you I was divorced." "How did you know?" I asked her straight out. Maya, who had hoped I wouldn't notice, sounded a little sheepish. "Ethan, wait there. I'm coming over." While I waited, I tidied up my hotel room. We were just starting something, and I wanted to make a good impression. I didn't have to wait long. There was a knock at the door. I let her in and waited for her explanation. "I'm sorry, Ethan. The first day I saw you, you were all alone, and I was worried. So I asked around, and I heard that you were divorced. Please don't be mad." Maya looked at me with wide, pleading eyes, putting on a cute, pouty face she'd probably seen online, hoping it would work. "I'm not blaming you. It just occurred to me. You know, I just got divorced." Seeing her put on this cute, pitiful act, I couldn't be angry. In fact, I found it incredibly endearing. "I know you just got divorced, and I know I'm taking advantage of the situation, but it's only because I like you so much." Maya, sensing I was about to downplay things, cut me off. She didn't want to hear me put myself down. "To me, you're the best. In love, I have nothing and know nothing. I know I'm not the first person at the station of your heart, but you are the most important person in my life. The most important. Whatever kind of life you lead, I want to be there with you. Wherever you go, I want to be by your side. Even if you told me to my face that you don't love me anymore, that you don't want me, it wouldn't be enough to tear us apart." Hearing her confess her feelings so openly again, I was once again floored by the depth of her affection for me. It's hard to remain unmoved in the face of such sincerity. So instead of pushing her away, I gently pulled her into a hug, letting the action speak for my own feelings. During her long, sleepless nights, the sheep she counted to fall asleep had all started to look like me. When Maya woke up the next morning, the memory of us confessing our feelings to each other brought a huge smile to her face. She jumped out of bed, eager to see me. When she opened her door, she found me standing right there, holding a bouquet of gardenias. Gardenias. They mean eternal love, a lifetime of devotion. The sweet scent of the flowers filled the air, but to Maya, the most beautiful thing she saw was the smile on my face. "Good morning, Maya. I thought about it all night. I know I can't immediately match the intensity of your feelings, but I have decided to be with you, and I promise to give you my whole heart, and to work every day to show you that I can love you just as much. I hope we can spend the rest of our lives together, hand in hand." I'd been rehearsing the words all morning, and the moment she opened the door, they all came tumbling out. I stood there, waiting for her response. When she didn't answer right away, I looked up and saw that her eyes were red and brimming with tears. I panicked, wanting to comfort her, but I was at a loss for words. Before I could figure out what to say, she wrapped her arms around my waist and said softly, "Thank you for the flowers." "Oh, what am I going to do? I think I love you even more today than I did yesterday." Seeing me standing there with flowers first thing in the morning felt unreal to her. Only by holding me tight did the feeling start to fade. I ended my solo trip and decided to stay in Sedona with Maya while she focused on her health. By the time we returned to New York City, winter had arrived. A heavy snow was falling on the city. Even before the first flakes, a deep chill had settled over the bustling metropolis. The sky was a heavy, oppressive gray, silent and still. The bare branches of the trees lining the streets shivered in the wind, stark against the darkening sky. A few stray leaves swirled weakly in the air before settling on the ground. The moment I stepped out of the airport, the biting wind gave me goosebumps. Thankfully, the walk to the car was short. I've always loved the snow. Growing up in a warmer climate, I still remember the thrill of seeing my first real snowstorm when I came to New York for college. It was as if the entire world had been put on mute, the only sound the soft hiss of falling snow. The flakes, each unique, wove together in the air to form a magical white curtain. It covered the ground in a thick white blanket. It coated the tree branches in a layer of crystalline silver. They looked like they were made of crystal. It settled on the rooftops of the old brownstones, making them look even more stately and timeless. The few people on the street were bundled up, hurrying along to escape the biting cold. After our return, things began to change for Chloe and Julian. Chloe stopped indulging Julian's every whim. Ever since that party, when Julian had thrown a fit and she'd had to calm him down, she had snapped at him, "Can you stop being so childish?" Why can't you be more considerate, like Ethan? It was like a switch had been flipped. The things she used to find charming about Julian now just annoyed her. She couldn't help but compare him to me. When she traveled for work, I would always pack her a bag with toiletries and her favorite snacks. I was always asking if she was tired. Julian, on the other hand, never helped her pack and only ever asked her to bring him back expensive designer things, treating her like his personal shopper. And Julian, sensing Chloe's shift in attitude, could no longer maintain his cool, superior demeanor. He constantly compared her to the way she used to be, accusing her of not loving him anymore now that she finally had him. The rift between them grew wider. It was around this time that Jessica, his old flame, started coming around again. Jessica provided the adoration and excitement that Julian was no longer getting from Chloe. But she couldn't provide the lavish lifestyle he craved, so they kept their affair secret. Chloe, her mind elsewhere, didn't even notice his suspicious behavior. She only noticed that he was picking fewer fights with her and thought he was finally maturing. And once she heard I was back in town, her thoughts were even less focused on Julian. When Julian heard I was back, he immediately remembered his humiliation in Sedona. Plus, Chloe was constantly comparing him to me. She, who used to worship the ground he walked on, was now treating him with disdain. Now that I was back, he was determined to make me pay. So he casually mentioned to our old college class president that they should organize a reunion. The class president, ever the people-pleaser, immediately organized a get-together. I had no desire to go. I wanted nothing more to do with Julian, but the class president was insistent, and I couldn't find a polite way to refuse, so I went. By the time I arrived, the place was already crowded, but I didn't see Julian anywhere. I was about to join a group of friends when the class president cornered me. I heard you and Chloe got divorced. Is it true? The noisy room suddenly went quiet. Yeah, we're divorced. I didn't see any reason to hide it. It was a good chance to get the news out there and avoid awkward questions later. Why? How could you let someone as amazing as Chloe go? Irreconcilable differences. I had no intention of elaborating. I heard she's with Julian now. Was it because of him? Someone who had heard the rumors muttered it under their breath. If Julian had wanted to be with Chloe from the start, where would I have even fit in? The class president steered the conversation back to Chloe's undying devotion to Julian. Exactly. Everyone saw how good Chloe was to Julian. I couldn't even compare. If Julian hadn't set us up, I never would have had a chance with her in the first place. I guess I should be thanking him. The crowd then launched into stories about how Chloe doted on Julian, completely ignoring the fact that she was a married woman and I was her husband. They had no regard for my feelings, openly discussing all the ways I fell short compared to Julian. They were oblivious to the pain their words were causing. The few people who looked uncomfortable were drowned out by the majority. They glanced at my grim face and whispered for the others to stop. The class president saw my expression and laughed. Ethan, you're not getting upset, are you? We're not making anything up. It's the truth. Don't be so sensitive. The reunion had turned into a public trial, with me as the defendant. If I couldn't see that this whole thing was a setup, I'd be an idiot. I was about to leave when Julian walked in. He greeted everyone with a wide smile. Sorry I'm late, everyone. We were just talking about you, Chloe, and Ethan. You came. I was worried you'd be upset with me. Why would I be upset with you? The class president played along. It's all Chloe's fault, really. She was just as devoted to me when I got back, and Ethan got jealous and insisted on a divorce. Then he blamed the whole thing on me. He feels bad about it, I'm sure, but what can you do? Chloe loves me, not you. Married for years and never even had her love. You poor thing. Murmurs spread through the room. If this was your goal, then I'm afraid I have to disappoint you. To me, Chloe is just my ex-wife now. A familiar stranger, nothing more. I really do. I just wanted to smooth things over between us. I looked at these familiar faces and felt like I didn't know them at all. Were they always this easily manipulated? Without another word, I stood up to leave. I was at the door, waiting for Maya to pick me up, when Julian followed me out. I'm going to destroy your reputation among our alumni. He whispered this in my ear. I looked at him with scorn. You really think you're that important, don't you? Just then, Maya pulled up to the curb. It seems the Sterling Corporation has too much time on its hands lately. In the future, I don't want to see any of these people working in any Sterling-owned enterprise. Before anyone could react, Maya ushered me into the car and we drove away. Watching me leave with such a commanding woman, and then seeing security guards arrive to clear them out, they all realized they had messed with the wrong people, and that it was going to cost them. Some of them who worked for Sterling-owned companies soon received termination emails. They were furious. They wanted to blame Julian, but with Chloe by his side, they knew they couldn't touch him either. They had no choice but to accept their fate. When titans clash, the little guys get crushed. Others who worked for companies that partnered with Sterling were also fired, their employers fearing repercussions. After the party, everyone took to their social media accounts. They all discussed how Julian had shot himself in the foot. His reputation was in tatters. The timing of his public confession right after Chloe's divorce had already raised some eyebrows. But because Chloe had been the one pursuing him, many had defended him, seeing him as an innocent party caught in the crossfire. But this time, the story was completely different. An anonymous account posted the details online, and it quickly went viral. When someone's down, everyone kicks them. This time, no one defended him. They all called him out for being a homewrecker, saying it takes two to tango. When Julian saw the online comments, he flew into a rage and trashed his apartment. Chloe, meanwhile, was in deep trouble. Business partners began to withhold funds and delay shipments, all giving the same vague excuse. She had offended someone powerful. Partners whose contracts were up for renewal all jumped ship to her competitors. Chloe was so busy trying to salvage her company that she started sleeping at the office. Julian couldn't reach Chloe, but Jessica was always there, showering him with attention. Already on edge, Julian let Jessica's flattery and a few drinks lead him into bed with her. After sleeping with Jessica, Julian reasoned that even though Chloe had been neglectful lately, it was only because she was busy and still adjusting to my absence. She was still the same devoted Chloe underneath it all. This rationalization made him even more reckless with Jessica. He started taking Jessica out to movies, on trips, even bringing her back to the apartment Chloe paid for, all on Chloe's credit card. Chloe, buried in work and trying to save her company, kept seeing notifications for charges on her secondary credit card. She was furious. It was bad enough that Julian didn't seem to care about her at all, but for him to be so extravagant while her company was collapsing was infuriating. So, despite being swamped, she went to Julian's apartment. The moment she opened the door, she was greeted by a trail of discarded clothing, and the unmistakable sounds of two people having sex coming from the bedroom. In disbelief, Chloe walked to the bedroom and pushed open the door. There were Julian and Jessica, naked and still going at it. Seeing Chloe, Julian panicked and fumbled for the sheets to cover himself. In his panic, something went wrong, and he found himself stuck inside Jessica. The sight of it all was too much for Chloe. She fainted on the spot. 2 ambulances were called, one for Chloe and one for the still entangled Julian and Jessica. They couldn't get dressed, so the paramedics had to wrap them in a sheet to transport them. Getting caught cheating is one thing. Getting caught and being physically stuck together is another thing entirely. All eyes were on them, and of course, someone filmed the whole spectacle and posted it online. It went viral instantly. The internet had a field day with the memes. People who knew them filled in the backstory for the online audience, including the whole saga of the childhood sweethearts, the divorce, and the homewrecking. The video from Chloe's birthday party was also leaked. So the guy who got stuck was the same one who stole his roommate's wife, and now he was cheating on her with someone else only to be caught by her. People didn't know whether to laugh at Chloe for getting what she deserved or to pity her for being so foolish. The 3 people at the center of the storm, still at the hospital, were oblivious to their newfound internet fame. The first thing Chloe did when she woke up was cancel Julian's credit card. She cut off all financial support to his family and had him evicted from the apartment she was paying for. She had her assistant handle everything. She refused to see him. Julian's family, due to his father's bad business decisions, was already struggling to maintain their lavish lifestyle. That was the real reason Julian had come back, to get rid of me and secure Chloe as his financial lifeline. Now that Chloe had cut him off, his family, without her support, was facing bankruptcy. Seeing him kicked out and living in a tiny apartment, Jessica promptly dumped him. She had only been with him for the money. Now that the cash cow was dry, what was the point? Left with nothing, Julian desperately tried to get back to Chloe, but her new bodyguards blocked his every attempt. Meanwhile, Chloe's life was getting even worse. The Sterling Corporation, Maya's family company, had begun a full-scale corporate attack on her business. Chloe's company was a relative newcomer and couldn't withstand the pressure from an established powerhouse like Sterling. Fueled by her anger at Julian's betrayal, she made a series of rash, emotional decisions that pushed her already struggling company to the brink of collapse. There was no turning back. When it became clear that bankruptcy was inevitable, the stress was too much for Chloe's already weakened body to handle. She collapsed in her office, coughing up blood, and was rushed back to the emergency room. By the time she was discharged, her company had officially filed for bankruptcy and was being liquidated. Her bank accounts were frozen, her assets seized. With nowhere else to turn, Chloe thought of me. I had been so good to her, and she hadn't appreciated it. Julian had only to crook his finger, and she would come running. That's what had led to her downfall. Unable to face the fact that her own choices had led to this, Chloe chose to blame everything on Julian. She went to confront him. Julian, now completely cut off by Chloe, tried to reach out to his old flames, but the few who would still talk to him couldn't support the lifestyle he was used to. When he saw Chloe approaching, he thought she was coming back to him. Instead, she came to blame him for her bankruptcy. A bitter, ugly fight ensued. You're the failure, and you're blaming me? Did I ask you to worship me? Weren't you the one stringing Ethan along, constantly giving him false hope? If it weren't for you, he never would have left. I just had to beckon, and you came running. How is that my fault? She was the one who had wronged me, who had hurt me. This was all her own doing. Julian, after everything that's happened, don't you feel even a little bit of guilt? Any regret? Listening to his endless stream of excuses, Chloe asked a question that, even to her own ears, sounded ridiculous. Guilt? Regret? Why should I feel guilty? Chloe, we've known each other since we were kids. You know who I am. Did you really believe everything I said? Don't you know how often I lie? My words just gave you an excuse to do what you wanted to do all along. You used me as an excuse, pretending you were doing it all for me. But from the very beginning, weren't you only ever thinking of yourself? Chloe, speechless, turned and walked away. Her world had completely collapsed. But she still wanted to see me one last time to apologize. When she came looking for me, she was intercepted by the bodyguards Maya had hired, keeping her completely out of my life. The boomerang she had thrown long ago had finally come back and hit her square in the face. Finally, during a moment when the guards were distracted, she managed to slip into my building's parking garage. She stepped out in front of me as I was getting out of my car. I stared at the person blocking my path for a long moment before I recognized her. It was Chloe. She looked haggard, a shadow of her former self. I felt nothing. I frowned. What are you doing here? Seeing my completely emotionless face, Chloe's own face crumpled. A wave of pain and sadness washed over her. Her eyes grew red, and her voice choked. I came to apologize. When we were together, it was my fault. I neglected you, and I made you suffer so much. Every time I lied about a business trip, I felt guilty. That's why I had my assistant send you all those gifts. I thought the money could make up for my absence. I was so busy chasing Julian, and I never looked back at you. But the love in your eyes was always so strong. I'm so sorry. If you'll let me, can I make it up to you? Come back to me. I'll love you with everything I have. I'll work hard. I'll rebuild everything, and I'll love you. Listening to her tearful, passionate confession, I felt nothing but disgust. If she weren't broke, if Julian hadn't betrayed her, if she hadn't lost everything, she would never be saying these things. She just wanted someone to love her unconditionally, without ever having to return that love. Did she ever really love Julian? Probably, but it was more of an obsession, a fixation on what she couldn't have. That's why, after she finally got him, it didn't take long for her to start thinking about me again. Once she had him, the obsession faded. The prize was no longer so valuable once it was won. Understanding this, the final weight lifted from my shoulders. They were the ones who didn't know how to value something real. I didn't need to waste any more energy on them. You are a truly, thoroughly awful person. With that, I got in my car and drove away, leaving her there. Maya, listening to her bodyguard's report over the phone, smiled and twirled a pen in her fingers. She knew her moment had arrived. Chloe thought she had gotten lucky with a lapse in security. In reality, Maya had arranged it. She knew I needed to see Chloe one last time to truly close that chapter. The downfall of Chloe and Julian was her handiwork. She was tired of them buzzing around me like annoying flies. They weren't a threat, just an irritation. Julian has recently gotten involved with a low-level mobster. He's planning to hire someone to tamper with Ethan's car. Such an annoying pest. Contact his boss. Tell him it's been a while, we should have dinner. And ask him if he needs any more workers for his overseas projects. Chloe has served her purpose. Deal with them both. Maya, I'm here to pick you up. Hearing my voice, Maya dismissed her assistant with a glance, rose to greet me, and wrapped me in a hug. The stress of her long day melted away. I wish I could keep you by my side every second of the day. You're so busy with your new studio. How long has it been since we had a proper date? Hearing the playful complaint in her voice, I felt a pang of guilt. I knew I had been neglecting her a little while getting my new workshop off the ground. Well, I'm here to pick you up now, aren't I? No work talk tonight. I'm all yours. All right, you're forgiven. And since tomorrow is the weekend, you should come and meet my family. They're dying to meet you. I'm not ready. Don't worry. They just want to see the man who finally captured my heart. After all these years of being single, they thought I was going to be alone forever. They're just curious. Her reassurance calmed my nerves a little. Okay, then after dinner, you can help me pick out some gifts to bring them tomorrow. Deal. The next day, I found myself driving with Maya to the old Sterling family estate. As we got closer to the sprawling mansion, my anxiety grew. I'd met a partner's parents before, but this felt completely different. Maya, I'm divorced. What if they don't like me? Don't worry. I've told them everything. They feel terrible about what you went through. My family is wonderful. You have nothing to worry about. Her words soothed my frayed nerves. When we arrived, a handsome, elegantly dressed couple was waiting for us at the door. They were both smiling warmly at me. I took a nervous breath. Maya sensed my anxiety and squeezed my hand. Mom, Dad, this is Ethan. Ethan, these are my parents. It's a pleasure to meet you both. I wasn't sure what you'd like, but I brought a few small gifts. I hope you like them. Ethan, we've heard so much about you from Maya. You didn't have to bring anything. Just having you here is enough, her mother said with a kind smile. Your grandparents are waiting in the living room. They wanted to greet you at the door, but at their age, I told them to wait inside. I hope you don't mind. Maya's mother explained, her face full of warmth. Grandma, Grandpa, this is Ethan, the boyfriend I'm always telling you about. Her grandparents greeted me with equal warmth and enthusiasm. I spent a wonderful afternoon with Maya's family. As I was leaving, Maya's mother handed me a gift bag, saying it was a small token from the family. It felt wrong to refuse a gift from an elder, so I accepted it graciously. On the drive home, sitting in the back seat with Maya, I opened the bag. Inside was an old, ornate box. I opened it to find a beautiful antique watch. This is too much, I said. Looking at the craftsmanship, I knew it was incredibly valuable. It's a Sterling family heirloom. See? I told you they liked you. I can't accept this. Not yet. I tried to put it back in the box to give to her. It'll be yours eventually, she said, stopping me. Unless you're not planning on making an honest woman out of me? Maya teased, stopping my hands. Go on. See what else is in there. I didn't argue further. I looked at the other items in the bag, a black credit card, and the deed to an office building in Midtown. Looking at these incredibly generous gifts, I felt a wave of happiness. The Sterling family genuinely liked me. It wasn't just for show. I was overjoyed. On what seemed like an ordinary evening, Maya took me to a luxurious, stylish restaurant. The light inside was soft and warm, like scattered starlight. Beautiful art adorned the walls, and classical music drifted through the air. The whole place exuded an air of quiet elegance. Our table was perfectly set with fine china and a crisp, white tablecloth. In the center was a bouquet of deep red roses. Their faint, sweet scent filled the air. The crystal chandeliers overhead cast a glittering light over the other diners, making the whole scene feel like a dream. After we were seated, a procession of delicious courses began to arrive. Maya served me food, her voice soft as she reminisced about all the little moments since we'd met. The memories played like a movie in my mind. Just as I was lost in the sweet memories, the restaurant's music suddenly changed. It was my favorite song. Then, the lights in the restaurant dimmed, and a single soft spotlight landed on Maya. She slowly rose and walked over to me. She looked deep into my eyes and said, Ethan, from the moment we first met, I knew you were the person I had been searching for my entire life. Everything about you captivates me. Every day I spend with you fills me with a happiness and contentment I've never known. I want to walk with you through every stage of life, to share all of life's joys and sorrows. Will you marry me and let me be yours for the rest of our lives? The other diners in the restaurant had all stopped to watch, their eyes on us. Some of them began to applaud, offering their blessings. I nodded, my own eyes filling with tears. I will. Overcome with emotion, Maya threw her arms around me, whispering, I love you. I will always love you. The other guests erupted in applause and cheers, a chorus of witnesses to our love. Outside the window, fireworks began to light up the night sky. Our faces, illuminated by the colorful bursts, were beaming. Surrounded by the blessings of strangers and bathed in the light of the fireworks, we held each other close. Our love story, on this perfect, romantic night, had found its happy ending. And at the same time, it was the beginning of a brand new chapter.